I look after our Fair Access scheme, which means that it's a scheme to support our most vulnerable applicants. So anyone who's maybe been in care, they're a young carer, they have a disability, lots of different sort of vulnerabilities. I support them throughout the application process and to make sure that they get to where they want to be at university. I myself was a young carer, my dad had a disability, and throughout my entire sort of childhood I knew that I wanted to help people, and that's why I did a psychology degree. And I sort of fell into this job really because I just absolutely loved working with young people and letting young people know that even if they do have barriers, like myself, they can still achieve and they can still go to university if that's what they want to do. They can still reach their goals and sort of live their dream. I would like Coventry to be the place to go if you have a barrier to your education. I'd like it to be the place where you know you're going to get support, you know that you're not going to have to fight to have your voice heard, and that all the support is already in place for you and available for you. When I was at school, I wasn't identified as a young carer, which meant that I didn't receive support really from my school or from any charities or anything like that. And when I went to university, I didn't really know who to speak to about it. So really simple things like having an extension on my assignments because my dad had just gone into hospital, you know, having to be able to prove that was very, very difficult. You know, they wanted evidence from my dad's doctor, but my dad's doctor was a very high up psychiatrist, so who was never going to have a meeting with me just to provide me with a letter for university. So I think the biggest issue was people being aware of the barriers. So it's definitely easier now than when I was at university. Anyone starting in September 2023, they are now asking if you have caring responsibilities for somebody who has a disability or a long-term health condition. But UCAS are doing lots of research into young carers at the moment as well, which I think is really, really important because, you know, I'm just one young carer who's had one particular experience, but actually being able to hear from lots of young carers about their experiences, the barriers and what they need is really important. We have such broad criteria for being able to be part of the scheme. We recognise lots of extenuating circumstances, lots of difficult circumstances that might have affected an applicant and their grades. We've tried to recognise as many barriers as possible. We take into account so many different types of barriers, I think means that our scheme is so far-reaching and really useful to the community. I'd like more young carers to stay in higher education and finish their degrees, but I think especially for those young carers who are maybe in primary school or secondary school, for them just to know that there are people like me across universities across the whole country who are working to help support them and that we believe in them.